Have you ever noticed how the truth can feel like a stranger in a familiar room? It's an odd paradox. Truth is something we are taught to cherish, to seek after, and to uphold as a cornerstone of integrity and wisdom. Yet, when faced with truths that challenge our beliefs, habits, or self-image, many of us instinctively recoil, deny, or even reject them outright. Why is it that something so valuable can also be so unwelcome? This tension lies at the heart of a puzzling human experience. People often resist the very truths that could help them grow, heal, or make better decisions. Whether it's feedback from a loved one, hard facts about a situation, or uncomfortable self-realizations, the initial reaction is frequently one of avoidance rather than acceptance. But why? What drives us to shy away from clarity and instead cling to comforting illusions? Behind this paradox are powerful psychological and social forces. On a personal level, truth can threaten our ego, expose vulnerability, or demand change, things that naturally trigger defensive responses. Socially, the dynamics of conformity, fear of judgment, and desire for approval further complicate our relationship with truth. Together, these influences create a complex web where comfort often overshadows clarity. In this exploration, we will journey into the reasons why truth can feel unwelcome, uncover the psychological barriers that keep us from embracing it, and consider how understanding these forces can lead us to a more courageous and authentic way of living. By the end, you'll see why comfort frequently wins the battle against truth, and how we might learn to change that. Certainly, here's a draft for The Nature of Truth and Comfort, in about 350 to 400 words. The nature of truth and comfort. In the context of human experience, truth extends far beyond mere factual accuracy. It encompasses deeper self-realizations and societal realities that challenge our perceptions and beliefs. Truth involves confronting what is often uncomfortable or unsettling, those insights that reveal the complexities of human nature, the imperfections within society, and the contradictions embedded in our own identities. It is a pursuit not just of what is, but of what must be acknowledged to foster genuine understanding and growth. In stark contrast, comfort is rooted in predictability and routine. It thrives on familiar narratives that soothe the mind and shield us from uncertainty. Comfort offers a psychological safe space, where our assumptions remain unchallenged and the status quo is maintained. This ease allows us to avoid the emotional and cognitive strain that accompanies disruptive truths. Comfort is the warm blanket of familiarity, a refuge from the chaos and discomfort that often accompany genuine insight. This tension between truth and comfort is deeply embedded in human nature. Evolutionarily, our brains are wired to seek safety and minimize risk, as survival depended on avoiding danger and uncertainty. Comfort, therefore, serves as a protective mechanism, encouraging behaviors that sustain well-being and social cohesion. The human tendency to favor comforting beliefs, even at the expense of truth, can be understood as a survival strategy, helping individuals maintain stability in unpredictable environments. Philosophers like Arthur Schopenhauer and Blaise Pascal have long explored this interplay. Schopenhauer highlighted the human inclination to delude oneself to escape the harshness of reality, suggesting that ignorance can be a form of protection against suffering. Pascal, in his famous Pensées, reflected on the human wager to believe in comforting illusions rather than face existential despair. Both thinkers acknowledge that the pursuit of truth demands courage and often leads to discomfort, Yet they also recognize the necessity of confronting reality to transcend superficial contentment. Ultimately, the nature of truth and comfort reveals a fundamental paradox. While comfort preserves our sense of security, it is through embracing uncomfortable truths that we achieve authentic growth and understanding. This delicate balance shapes much of the human condition. The psychological resistance to truth. When confronted with information that challenges deeply held beliefs, our minds often react not with open curiosity, but with discomfort and resistance. This mental unease is known as cognitive dissonance, a psychological state where conflicting ideas clash, causing tension within the mind. For example, if someone who prides themselves on being environmentally conscious learns that their favorite brand harms the environment, they might feel an uncomfortable clash between their self-image and reality. This discomfort pushes people to either reject the new information or rationalize it away to restore mental harmony. At the neurological level, this resistance is closely linked to the brain's threat response system. The amygdala, a key region involved in processing fear and emotional reactions, often lights up when people encounter uncomfortable truths. This activation signals the brain that something is threatening, not necessarily physically, but psychologically. The mind interprets a threat to core beliefs as a form of danger, triggering a fight-or-flight response that manifests as denial, avoidance, or aggression toward the challenging information. Beyond mere discomfort, this resistance is deeply tied to ego protection and identity preservation. People's beliefs are often intertwined with their sense of self and social identity. Admitting a truth that undermines these beliefs feels like a personal attack or loss, prompting defensive reactions. For instance, political beliefs or cultural values are not just ideas, but part of who someone is. Challenging them can feel like threatening that person's very existence, motivating the mind to reject inconvenient facts to maintain a stable self-concept. Two psychological biases play a pivotal role in reinforcing this resistance. Confirmation bias and sanity status quo bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to seek, interpret, and remember information that confirms pre-existing beliefs, while ignoring or dismissing contradictory evidence. For example, on social media, users often follow pages or groups that align with their views, creating echo chambers where dissenting opinions are rarely heard. Status quo bias, meanwhile, is the preference for things to remain as they are. Changing beliefs or accepting new truths requires effort and discomfort, so people tend to stick with familiar views, even if they're flawed. Everyday life offers countless examples. A friend refuses to accept scientific evidence on climate change because it conflicts with their lifestyle, or someone dismisses negative feedback on a project, protecting their professional identity. These are not isolated quirks, but universal human tendencies. Yet, this psychological resistance isn't just an individual problem. It is deeply social and evolutionary. Our brains evolved to protect group cohesion and survival, so rejecting threatening information helps maintain social bonds and collective identity. This makes the resistance to truth a complex dance between mind, self, and society, a puzzle still being unraveled. Point: truth versus social harmony. The price of honesty. In social interactions, people frequently prioritize harmony and acceptance over blunt truth. This preference stems from a deep-rooted human desire to belong and avoid conflict. Polite conversation, small talk, and well-worn social scripts serve as lubricants for these exchanges, smoothing over potential friction and creating a comfortable, predictable atmosphere. Asking about the weather or commenting on the ambiance of a room may seem trivial, but such rituals help maintain social cohesion and reduce the emotional risk of confronting uncomfortable realities. However, this delicate balance often comes at the cost of honesty. Voices that speak uncomfortable truths are frequently sidelined or muted to preserve group peace. When someone breaks the script with candor or critical insight, it can create tension, unease, or even outright rejection. This reaction is partly explained by the mirror effect, where honest or deep thinkers inadvertently hold up a mirror to others' insecurities, flaws, or unacknowledged feelings. Rather than embracing this reflection, many people shy away from it, preferring denial or distraction to self-examination. Consider a real-life scenario. At a family gathering, one person gently points out a recurring problem, perhaps a pattern of avoidance or dishonesty within the group. Instead of gratitude, they may face silence, discomfort, or deflection as others scramble to maintain the social script. The truth-teller becomes a source of tension, their words seen as disruptive rather than constructive. The room's warmth cools, conversations falter, and the harmonious facade is momentarily cracked. This dynamic begs a difficult question. Are truth-tellers doomed to loneliness? While their honesty can alienate them from the comfort of social acceptance, it also carves out a space for deeper connection with those who value authenticity. Yet, the price of speaking the truth often means navigating isolation, misunderstanding, or rejection. It challenges us to reflect on how much we value harmony over authenticity and whether society can evolve to embrace both without sacrificing either. Throughout history, those who dared to reveal uncomfortable truths often faced rejection, persecution, or exile, an enduring testament to humanity's uneasy relationship with intelligence and reality. Socrates, the classical Greek philosopher, questioned Athens' moral and political norms with relentless scrutiny. His insistence on challenging accepted beliefs and encouraging self-examination eventually led to his trial and execution, condemned for corrupting the youth and undermining the state's authority. Socrates' fate underscores the risk faced by truth-seekers in societies resistant to discomfort. Centuries later, Galileo Galilei confronted the dogmatic doctrines of the Catholic Church by championing heliocentrism, the idea that the Earth revolved around the Sun, not vice versa. His discoveries threatened the established worldview and the power structures supporting it. Galileo was forced to recant under threat of torture and spent his remaining years under house arrest, emblematic of the profound social cost that can accompany the unveiling of inconvenient realities. In the modern era, Nikola Tesla's visionary ideas about electricity and wireless communication were initially met with skepticism and financial neglect. His intellect unveiled technologies far ahead of their time, yet his truths were sidelined, and he died in relative obscurity. Tesla's story exemplifies how brilliance can alienate and isolate those who perceive realities beyond the immediate grasp of society. Philosophically, these narratives resonate with Arthur Schopenhauer's stark insight that intelligence can be a curse. According to Schopenhauer, heightened awareness enables individuals to perceive the world's underlying suffering, futility, and chaos, truths that are easier ignored by those less perceptive. In this light, intelligence becomes a double-edged sword, bestowing enlightenment but also burdening the mind with existential weight. Contemporary neuroscience supports this ancient perspective, revealing that highly intelligent individuals often exhibit greater sensitivity to social rejection and existential concerns. Studies show that increased cognitive capacity correlates with deeper rumination on life's uncertainties and paradoxes, which can fuel feelings of isolation and alienation. The brain's capacity to comprehend complexity does not guarantee comfort. Instead, it may magnify internal conflict. This interplay creates a paradox. Intelligence and the pursuit of truth can lead to profound enlightenment, but also to profound isolation. The very qualities that illuminate the world's mysteries can separate the enlightened from the masses, raising the question, must the seeker of truth also bear the weight of solitude? This tension remains a defining challenge of human cognition, one that history, philosophy, and science continue to grapple with today. $400. The role of modern technology and media. In today's digital landscape, modern technology and social media profoundly shape how we perceive and engage with truth. Unfortunately, these platforms often amplify resistance to nuanced understanding by rewarding sensationalism and simplicity over intellectual depth. Social media algorithms prioritize content that generates strong emotional reactions, often outrage or shock, because such posts drive higher engagement. As a result, complex, thoughtful arguments struggle to gain traction compared to viral sound bites designed for quick consumption. Echo chambers exacerbate this problem. Algorithms tailor content feeds to individual preferences, reinforcing existing beliefs and shielding users from dissenting perspectives. This digital segregation deepens polarization, making it harder for people to encounter and embrace uncomfortable truths. Instead, they are repeatedly exposed to curated information that confirms their biases, creating a feedback loop that resists change. The tension between intellectual depth and viral simplicity is stark. While deep analysis requires time and attention, viral content thrives on brevity and immediacy, often reducing intricate issues to catchy slogans or memes. Truth-tellers face the daunting challenge of cutting through this noise, struggling to be heard amid the relentless stream of flashy, shareable content. This raises an unsettling question. Does the digital age make truth harder to embrace than ever before? With the overwhelming volume of information, sensationalism's allure, and algorithmic reinforcement of comfortable falsehoods, the pursuit of truth can seem like an uphill battle. In a world where sound bites dominate and controversy drives clicks, the subtle, often inconvenient truths risk being drowned out, challenging society's ability to discern fact from fiction in an increasingly noisy media environment. Point: coping strategies and paths. Forward, navigating the terrain of deep thinking and truth-telling in a world often resistant to uncomfortable realities is undoubtedly challenging, but it is far from hopeless. For those who dare to confront difficult truths, there is a path forward, one shaped by resilience, patience, and emotional wisdom. Drawing on Schopenhauer's timeless advice, embracing solitude can be a vital first step. Solitude offers space to reflect, recharge, and clarify one's ideas away from the noise of misunderstanding or opposition. Yet, solitude should not mean isolation. Seeking out like-minded individuals, fellow truth-seekers and deep thinkers, provides essential emotional support and intellectual stimulation. Such communities foster courage, reminding us that we are not alone in our pursuits and helping buffer the sting of rejection. Choosing words wisely is another critical strategy. Truth-tellers often find that the way they communicate can either open doors or trigger defensive walls. Emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions and those of others is a powerful companion to intellectual honesty. It enables truth to be conveyed with empathy, increasing the likelihood that it will be received rather than rejected. Resilience in the face of rejection must be cultivated deliberately. Understand that resistance to truth is often not personal, but systemic or cultural. Learning to separate one's self-worth from others' acceptance builds inner strength. Techniques such as mindfulness, journaling, and seeking mentorship can reinforce this resilience, helping truth-tellers maintain balance amid criticism or indifference. Patience is perhaps the most underrated virtue on this journey. Societal change rarely happens overnight, and individuals may need time to process and integrate new ideas. Waiting for readiness, both in oneself and others, allows truth to take root more deeply and sustainably. This patience does not imply passivity, but a strategic endurance that preserves energy and focus. Ultimately, while truth can be difficult to face and even harder to share, it remains essential. It lights the way to deeper understanding, authentic connection, and meaningful progress. For deep thinkers and truth-tellers, the path forward is not easy, but it is profoundly worthwhile. Anchored in the hope that through persistence, empathy, and wisdom, truth can transform both individuals and society. Certainly, here's a polished conclusion based on your points. Conclusion. Call to reflection. Throughout our lives, there exists a profound tension between the truth we need and the comfort we seek. Truth, with its unyielding clarity, often challenges us, stirring discomfort and fear. Yet, paradoxically, it is precisely this truth, unvarnished and raw, that holds the key to our deepest growth and liberation. We fear truth not because it is dangerous, but because it demands vulnerability and change, two things we instinctively resist. I invite you now to pause and honestly reflect on your own responses to truth and discomfort. When faced with difficult realities about yourself or the world, do you shy away, seeking refuge in easier stories? Or do you lean in even when it's painful, trusting that this discomfort is temporary, but the insight lasting? Recognizing these reactions is the first step toward greater courage. Choosing to embrace hard truths is not a one-time act, but a continuous journey. It requires bravery to look inward honestly and to hold space for others' truths as well. Yet in doing so, we plant seeds of authenticity, wisdom, and freedom that can grow into a life of deeper meaning and connection. So, as you move forward, remember this. Though truth may unsettle, it is the soil from which true growth springs. In a world that often prefers comfort and illusion, may you find the strength to be real, to be honest, and to be brave. Because in that bravery lies not just survival, but the promise of a freer, fuller life. In a world that often prefers comfort, be brave enough to be real.